The streets of Damascus, once echoing with the din of conflict, now resonate with a cautious hope. After decades of authoritarian rule and a brutal civil war, a new chapter is being written in Syria's history. At the helm of this fragile transition stands Mohammad al-Bashir, the country's newly appointed caretaker prime minister. Al-Bashir's rise to this pivotal position is as remarkable as it is unexpected. A technocrat by training, he emerged from the crucible of war as a key figure in the Syrian opposition. His appointment marks a watershed moment for Syria, signaling a potential departure from the iron-fisted rule that defined the Assad era. The world watches with bated breath as al-Bashir takes on the mantle of leadership. Can he unite a nation riven by conflict and rebuild from the ashes of war? The challenges are immense, but so too is the hope that accompanies this new dawn in Damascus. The coming months will be critical for Syria. The success or failure of al-Bashir's government will have profound implications not only for the war-torn nation, but for the entire region. The world is watching, hoping against hope that this time peace might finally prevail. Mohammad al-Bashir's journey to the premiership is a testament to his resilience and adaptability. Born in 1983 in the northwestern province of Idlib, al-Bashir's early life was far removed from the corridors of power. He pursued a technical education, graduating from Aleppo University with a degree in electrical and electronic engineering. His early career reflected his technical background, working for Syria's state gas company. He rose through the ranks, eventually heading the precision instruments department at one of the company's key gas plants. This period instilled in him a deep understanding of Syria's infrastructure and economic challenges. However, the outbreak of the Syrian civil war in 2011 irrevocably altered al-Bashir's trajectory. With his country plunged into chaos, he felt compelled to contribute to the burgeoning opposition movement. He joined the Syrian Salvation Government, a rival administration formed in opposition to the Assad regime. Within the SSG, al-Bashir's organizational skills and technical expertise quickly became apparent. He held a series of increasingly important positions, overseeing education, development, and humanitarian aid. This experience provided him with invaluable insights into the needs and aspirations of the Syrian people, particularly those living in areas outside of the regime's control. The Syrian civil war was not merely a backdrop to al-Bashir's rise, it was a crucible that forged his leadership qualities. As the conflict escalated, engulfing the country in a maelstrom of violence and destruction, al-Bashir found himself at the heart of the opposition movement. His role within the Syrian Salvation Government grew increasingly prominent. He spearheaded the establishment of the Al-Amal Educational Institute, providing much-needed education to children whose lives had been upended by the war. This initiative earned him widespread respect, highlighting his commitment to the future of Syria even amidst the darkest of times. As the SSG gained influence, al-Bashir's responsibilities expanded. He was appointed Director of Islamic Education at the Ministry of Awqaf, further solidifying his position within the organization. His subsequent roles as Deputy Director and then Director of Association Affairs at the Ministry of Development and Humanitarian Affairs provided him with crucial experience in managing complex operations and coordinating aid distribution. By 2022, al-Bashir had become a key figure in the SSG, serving as the Minister of Development and Humanitarian Affairs in the cabinet of Ali Qaeda. His work in this capacity brought him face-to-face with the human cost of the war, deepening his understanding of the challenges facing Syria and fueling his determination to find a path to peace. The year 2024 marked a turning point in the Syrian conflict. The simmering tensions between the Assad regime and the various rebel groups erupted into a full-blown offensive in November. A coalition of rebel factions, spearheaded by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, launched a decisive campaign that rapidly gained momentum. City after city fell to the advancing rebels, culminating in the capture of Damascus, the symbolic heart of Assad's power. The regime, weakened by years of war and international sanctions, crumbled under the weight of the offensive. After 24 years in power, Bashar al-Assad's reign came to an abrupt and ignominious end. In the wake of the regime's collapse, the international community was left grappling with the question of what comes next. Amidst the uncertainty, the Syrian opposition, now in control of the country, moved swiftly to establish a transitional government. Mohammad al-Bashir, with his experience in the SSG and his reputation for competence and integrity, emerged as the consensus choice to lead this new government. His appointment as caretaker prime minister was met with cautious optimism both domestically and internationally. The challenges facing al-Bashir were daunting. He inherited a country shattered by war, its infrastructure in ruins, its economy in tatters, and its people deeply divided. However, his appointment represented a glimmer of hope, a chance for Syria to finally break free from the cycle of violence and embark on a path to peace and reconciliation. The euphoria of Assad's fall quickly gave way to the harsh reality facing Syria's new leadership. Mohammad al-Bashir inherited a country ravaged by years of conflict. Entire cities lay in ruins. Hospitals, schools, and homes were destroyed. Millions were displaced, living in overcrowded camps. The economy was paralyzed, industries decimated. Hyperinflation plunged millions into poverty. The nation was deeply divided. Rebuilding seemed Herculean. Al-Bashir's government faced monumental challenges. The road ahead was long and arduous. The international community pledged support. Syria's future depended on al-Bashir's leadership. Mohammad al-Bashir faced the challenge of unifying rebel factions after toppling Assad. The coalition, united against Assad, had differing ideologies and ambitions. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the dominant force, wielded significant influence. Al-Bashir's ties with HTS leader Abu Muhammad al-Jilani were both an asset and a liability. This relationship provided leverage but raised concerns about HTS's influence. Other rebel groups, backed by foreign powers, viewed HTS's dominance with suspicion. Al-Bashir had to balance these factions to maintain unity. The international community, especially Western powers, had reservations about HTS. Al-Bashir had to reassure international actors while navigating internal dynamics. His success depended on forging a cohesive political process. This required consolidating power without alienating key factions and addressing minority concerns. Failure risked plunging Syria back into chaos with devastating regional consequences. Despite the challenges, Mohammad al-Bashir envisioned a reborn Syria, resonating with a population yearning for peace and stability. Central to this vision was healing past wounds and building an inclusive society. Al-Bashir pledged to prioritize the needs of the displaced, providing shelter, food, healthcare, and education. Rebuilding infrastructure was key, including electricity, water, and sanitation. He aimed to attract foreign investment, create jobs, and diversify the economy. Al-Bashir emphasized transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. Education was key to breaking the cycle of violence and fostering dialogue. As Mohammad al-Bashir embarks on the daunting task of rebuilding Syria, the world watches with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The stakes could not be higher. The success or failure of his government will have profound implications not only for Syria, but for the entire region. The challenges ahead are immense. Uniting a fractured nation, rebuilding a shattered economy, and healing the wounds of war are Herculean tasks that will require extraordinary leadership, unwavering commitment, and a generous measure of good fortune. The international community, burned by past failures in Syria and wary of the complex web of alliances and rivalries within the country, must decide how best to engage with the new government. A delicate balance needs to be struck between providing essential humanitarian aid and supporting the reconstruction effort, while also pressing for meaningful political reforms and accountability for past crimes. The road ahead for Syria is long and uncertain. The country stands at a crossroads. One path leads towards a more peaceful, democratic, and prosperous future, the other towards further chaos, violence, and despair. The choices made in the coming months and years will determine which path Syria takes. The world can only hope that Mohammad al-Bashir, with the weight of a nation's expectations on his shoulders, can rise to the challenge and lead Syria out of the darkness and into a brighter future.